Right, so welcome to my video which just shows some of the progress on the build of this Hawk glider. Alright, so firstly here there's my my pod for the fuselage, so that's basically done. I am planning to give it a couple more coats of what I use is Easy Dope. I actually water it down a little bit. The good thing with that is it's water based, safe to use indoors, so that's why I use it. Alright, so with the pods, what I've done is I've actually made it so that the receiver board fits right inside now. I don't want any of it showing as I originally planned, and so this little front piece I'm going to have as a sliding hatch, so it will slide down and then I'll just have some method of it holding in place there. Okay, so the plan is then I'm just going to have a couple of little openings here so that the fishing line, which I'll use for the control surfaces, the rudder and elevator, can exit and then go down to the rear of the model. Okay, so that's essentially done. Okay, that's ready for the radio installation side of things. I've glued the tail surfaces together. It's actually it looked like it was going to be flimsy, but it's actually quite strong. They provide these little reinforcements, so that works really well. And similarly, when that's attached to the boom, which is a carbon rod boom, just show that, there is a couple of pieces that go over that and reinforce that as well. Okay, so that looks like a decent tail end to it and keeps it nice and light. Right, so I've gone on to the wings. Now the interesting thing with the wings is, and I thought I'd just mention this in case somebody builds this this model at some point and they look it up and perhaps get a bit confused at this point. It certainly threw me a little bit. Now with the wing, what you do first of all is glue on this wingtip piece of material that strengthens the wingtip, and then what you do, you get your ruler and you go from the trailing edge at the root of the wing up to where that piece is there. So you get your knife. I've already done it, but you get your knife and you just cut along, and then this piece comes away. Okay, so what that does, it produces a nice tapered wing. The bit that I was sort of concerned about was the fact, well, now that's cut off, it gets thicker and thicker and thicker towards the tip on the trailing edge. That can't be right. And the English instructions didn't make that anything clear about it, and it looks like the English translation has missed out a little step. So I started looking at the Czech language ones. Now you might just be able to see, but in this little picture here, alright, you can see there it's talking there of measuring 6 centimetres in from the root at the trailing edge, and then 5 centimetres forward at the tip from the trailing edge, and then this is then sanded down. Alright, so I've done that on this panel. So I did this one, I've already done it. So here you can see now, hopefully you can see that, it's actually a thin trailing edge all the way along. And if I put the two wing panels together, you can see now there's actually a gap between that trailing edge and the other trailing edge, and you can see there the shape at the tip now is a little bit different. Okay, so what that does then, by sanding that material away from that rear underneath section of the wing, is it creates some washout as you go off towards the tip. Now, if you don't understand what washout is, and I for one sort of had an idea before, watch Alan Moore's excellent video where he explains it so nicely and actually demonstrates it, and it really helps you understand why we have washout. Okay, so I've put a link in the description if you want to see that. So next I'm going to go on and do this wing, exactly the same. So I've done the two wing panels now, so I've chamfered those trailing sections towards the tip. Okay, so you can see this end, they're flat against each other. It's flat along the leading edge, but the trailing edge, you see how a gap opens up because that material has been sanded away. And of course try and do the two as identical as you possibly can, so you can look that end and just sort of see, yeah, the profile looks pretty much the same, and that the thickness of that trailing edge looks the same on both wing panels. I've gone ahead and shaped the edge to that reinforcement piece, and so what I want to go on to next is actually the piece that goes underneath. Okay, now it just says position it, draw a line, and then you sand an angle up to the tip. Now the thing is, this is where the little launch peg goes if you want to discus launch it or side launch it. So what I've done, I've opened up the hole there ready, and I want things to line up, so I've got an old drill bit that just happens to fit in there. Okay, so what I'm going to do, put it through the hole of the support for the underside of the tip, and because I like things to be accurate, what I've got a square. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to slide it up to that point, okay, and just make sure that that piece is square. I now know that the holes pretty much will line up. Okay, be slightly off because there's going to be a bit of an angle, but I'm not going to worry about that. So now I've got that position, what I'm going to do is just draw a line along there in pencil. So now I know that what I need to do is sand from that line and do a chamfer, an angle up to the tip. Okay, and at that point then I can glue that piece in. Okay, so I'm going to do that now on both wings.